Thank you. I'm Mr. Lehner, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mr. Lehner's Math Extravaganza. In today's episode, we're going to focus on solving addition and subtraction equations. Let's get into it. When solving addition equations, when you solve an equation, the goal is to get the variable by itself. To do this, you will use the inverse or opposite operation. Let's take a look at what this entails here. In our practice problem up here, it says x plus 3 equals 8. What makes this an algebraic equation is the fact that there's an equal sign. So if you take a look at equations up here, it's very similar to the word equals. So when you think of solving an addition equation, the equal sign kind of stands for the equation. There's also, we talked about the variable. The variable is any letter that stands for a number. So in this practice problem, x is going to be your variable. Now, in our directions up here, it says that our goal is to get the variable, in this case, x, by itself. And to do this, we're going to use the opposite or inverse operation. So we have x plus 3 equals 8. One way that we can solve this is to use that opposite operation. Now, what I like to do to solve these problems is I like to draw a line right down the middle of the equal sign. This helps break your problem up into two separate parts. Now, to get x by itself, I have to get rid of the plus 3. The inverse operation of adding is subtracting. So to get rid of the plus 3, I would have to subtract 3. A plus 3 and a negative 3 would be 0. I'm left with just the x on this side. I bring my equal sign down. What I do to one side of the problem, I must do to the other side. So if I subtracted 3 from this side, I would then have to subtract 3 from this side. 8 minus 3 would become 5. X would equal 5. Now, the nice handy-dandy thing with these type of problems up here is I can always get them right if I plug it back in and check. If I think my answer is 5, let's plug it back into the original problem. If I thought that x equaled 5, it would be 5 plus 3, which would equal 8. So I know that my answer is done correctly. Let's try another problem. If my problem is b plus 5 equals 2. Again, b is my variable. My goal is to get it by itself using the inverse operation. So I'm going to draw my line down the middle, and I'm going to solve for b. If I have a plus 5, I must subtract 5 to get rid of that. That becomes 0. I'm left with b on this side. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So if I subtracted 5 from here, I must subtract 5 from this side. So now we're getting into integers. If I have a positive 2 and a negative 5, b would be negative 3. Let's plug that one back in. Negative 3 plus a positive 5 would leave me with a positive 2. Now, if you struggle with integers and how to solve for this, I'm going to show you guys another handy trick that can help you guys out. And it will only take a few pennies to do. We'll put it right up on the board for you right now, using the same problem. If my problem is b plus 5 equals 2, I'm going to let this magnet up here, this is going to represent b. My heads here on my counters is going to represent positive 5, and my two heads on this side is going to represent the positive 2. So it states b plus the 5 equals a positive 2. Now, I still want to get that variable by itself. So to get rid of the plus 5, I had to subtract 5. I'm going to put 5 negative counters, and a tails is going to stand for negative. So what we call a 0 up here, we're going to partner each one up and take it out. A positive and a negative, they partner out. Positive and a negative, positive and a negative, a positive and a negative, a positive and a negative. So that I'm only left with the variable on the left side. What I do to the left side, I must do to the other side. So I took away 5. I then need to take away from this side. So there are my negative 5 counters. These two would partner up. These two would partner up. And I'm left with 3 counters that have the tail side. So this would tell me that b would equal a -3. So those of you that are having trouble with the integers, or positive and negative integers, using counters is another strategy that you can use to help you understand the mathematics within the algebraic equation. All right. What I would like you guys to do, try and get this out of the way. I want you guys to try this problem at home. Your problem is going to be x plus 3 equals +2. Go ahead and get that piece of paper out, that pencil, try this problem, and we'll compare our answers. In this problem, you should have realized that you want to get x by itself. To get x by itself, I have to get rid of the +3 by subtracting 3. I still have x on this side. What I do to one side, I do to the other. The 2 take away the -3, leaves me with a -1. So x should have equaled -1. Again, if you got this answer, great, nice job. If you struggle with it, go back and take a look at your problem. Did you make a mistake with the integers? Would using counters maybe help you in this type of problem? Go ahead and double check that. Okay. Our next type of equation is a subtraction equation. So now we're going to deal with our subtraction within our problems. In this problem, c minus 3 equals 2. We're going to do our same thing. We still want to get c by itself, and now instead of subtracting each time, if it's a -3, I must use a +3 to get rid of this part of the equation. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. 2 plus 3 is 5. Again, I can double check my answer by plugging it back in. If I said 5 minus 3 would equal 2, I know that that problem is correct, again, by plugging that number back into the algebraic equation. Okay. Let's try another one. In this problem, I have b minus 4 equals -2. Same thing to get b by itself. I need to use the inverse operation. Cross those out. Draw my b. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. A -2 and a +4 leaves me with a +2. Let's plug it back in. +2 take away 4 would leave me with a -2. Another way to think of integers might be to think of weather. If the weather is -2 degrees and it increases or goes up 4 degrees higher, it would be +2 degrees outside. So that's another helpful way to help you guys remember these integers. All right. Let's have you guys try one more. Your problem is going to be t minus 5 equals -5. Again, use that piece of paper and pencil, pause this video, and let's see what you come up with. All right, let's take a look. Let's draw our line down the middle to break up our equation. I want to get t by itself, so I must add 5 to each side. Cross that out because it's done. There's my t. What I do to one side, I must do to the other side. So a -5 and a +5 would leave me with 0. So if I said t equals 0, 0 take away 5 would still leave me with my -5. Again, if you had this problem correct, congratulations, nice job. Keep up the good work. Maybe try a brain buster to test yourself a little more. If you struggled with this one, go back and take a look at these problems. Try some other practice problems to help you understand the concept. Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful episode of Mr. Lehner's Math Extravaganza, and we'll see you next time.